thanks for jumping on with us.
Yeah, of course. You guys know the Heritage at Brentwood? Have you heard of this place? The Heritage LCS.
Yeah, LCS, that's a life care services, no?
Oh, that's Life Care Services. Oh, okay.
Wait, the Heritage.
Yeah, LCS Living.
Life,
Yeah, managed by
care
LCS.
services.
Okay.
So,
These guys.
so Chris, for the life care services, it's kind of weird. Some of them are like owned by different people, managed by life care services, which is kind of weird, but kind of cool because then you can get in with life care services.
Okay. Yeah, this guy that I've been talking to, his name is Dolan. It sounds like he runs like all of their Chicago stuff, like kind of Midwest region or something.
Okay,
That's
cool.
what it seemed like. Chicago, yeah. They want Med B though as well, which is fine. We're doing Med B for Sweetwater, which we'll be launching in July. Cool. So what do you have in mind, Christian? Who's Christian? Is that you, Kim?
That's me. Yes.
It always trips me out when I get on these calls and everyone's last name is the same, pretty much. It's like, what would you like me to? Yeah, we have. Let's see. Where's the new guy? I don't see him on here.
He's on David's.
Oh, he's on David's. Okay.
Hi, I'm here.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm good.
Cool. What would you like me to talk through, Kim? What do you have in mind for this?
If you could share a few, the last time we chatted in this meeting, you shared a story from when you sat down in one of the triple check meetings with Pursue Health facility, and they missed one of like an F in one of the names, and triple check caught it, but no one else did.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole platform basically. We see that all the time. With Pursue, we've seen it a bunch. I mean, we saw most recently in the April triple check. Well, I don't know how much Jose wants me telling you guys this stuff, but we'll say a facility that's not Pursue, but that actually is Pursue. We were doing our triple check in April, and there's a rule we have for daily skilled notes. So CMS requires that every day that a resident is admitted in a skilled nursing facility. Oh, speak of the devil, Jose just emailed me. Hopefully his ears weren't burning. Max, get off the phone with your dad. I don't like this behind the door kind of thing.
You gotta be careful. You gotta be careful of Abby. She's the compliance one.
There So anyways, there's a rule basically that CMS requires every day residents admitted in a skilled nursing facility that you document daily in a UDA or some other form, basically skilled need. So like every day they're there, you say this resident is admitted, they have this need for them to be present in the facility. And so each day they're there, you have to have one document per day attesting to this. Man, it was crazy. I turned this rule on, and every facility, which we have around 100 facilities we're running in now or something, they all have this rule of failure basically. So like no one adheres to, no one is aware of these gaps. And so it's not like they're all missing every day, but like Pursue, for example, they'd have like 1 day gap where someone forgot to document. And if you get audited, if like CMS comes knocking, they'll claw back that claim. Like that, basically you lose that money essentially. And so no one really checks this, but we check it, in like 2 seconds, and we're able to find those gaps really easily. And it's one example of, today we have 78 rules total for Medicare A. So there are 78, different individual checks that we're performing, instantaneously against every facility. And each of those rules has like sub rules and different layers of logic. So we're really checking, hundreds of things for these facilities, which is just more than humans can do effectively. And so Kim's example, with Pursue, we had a scenario where someone was admitted, and the name that they had on. So the way it works in point click care is someone gets admitted, through admissions. The admissions person types their name in because that's, and when they type their name in, basically that name then gets retyped when you run the MDS assessment. So it's not like this thing that flows. It's like you have to do this manual data entries in several locations. And so they did the admissions part correct, but when the MDS nurse went to create the same record for them on the MDS assessment, they, messed up the name. During the audit, I kind of was watching while I ran the software and kind of seeing what people would catch. We run eligibility, so we see the source of truth. We can see how their name is spelled. We see admissions is correct. Everyone checks off, this is good, this matches. Well, sure enough, there was a spelling error on the MDS assessment, which immediately will result in a denial. I mean, it's not just that it'll claw back. Like when you submit it, you have to lock the assessment and send it in. And all of those things will get reviewed by software on the other side of the fence. So immediately you're going to get a denial that they would have just missed. And in our system, it's impossible for those things to go overlooked. Basically, like we can check all of those things in real time, and we're able to find those kind of gaps really, really quickly. So this happens all the time. There's all, I mean, every one of our checks is doing something like this. Here's another example I'll show you guys with Aspen. This is live one from March. So this is a patient Aspen had that we did the triple check for in March. This is something they would have never caught. This is something called Medicare secondary payer status. And what this means is, I'm not throwing a lot of information. I don't expect you guys to remember this stuff, but what this means is that basically the resident that is admitted, who's being treated for skilled nursing, who's being billed under Medicare A, has another payer that they're eligible for, which means they're not eligible for Medicare billing in some cases. And so you have to check their history of billing against like all the payers that support their MBI, their Medicare beneficiary identifier. And we see, looks like there's an open claim from another payer from 10 years ago. It's workman's comp or some ridiculous thing. And so when this happens, if they don't catch that and they bill, it'll be rejected. And they almost never catch those because the eligibility files that they get back are 10 to 15 pages long per patient that they have to look through for all this history of care. So there's all these examples sort of like this where there's just a large number of things that need to be checked manually that are just impossible for people to get through and actually pay enough attention to during the process to see. And we find it in seconds because it's all software. So there's a couple of cool examples of that. I can tell another story too that Kim and I, in our last demo, I can't believe I hadn't really mentioned this to you guys yet, but I don't know how many of you know this, but before I started this company, I was working at another company. I was consulting a lot before, and one of the companies I was working for, we were basically building the anti-version of this system. So I was working with the payers, not Medicare specifically, but like Kaiser, Optum, Blue Cross, like all the big payers were paying us to build an AI platform that looked at contract configurations. So all the payers have all these different contracts for different levels, for different regions, for states, hospitals, all these things. It's really complicated, thousands of these versions of these contracts. And we're building AI that would look at the contracts at scale and find reasons to reject claims. So essentially, we're like building the opposite of what I'm building now for the providers, which is to try to prevent that from happening. So on their side, before it was human review, it takes time. They have to look through the contracts, match it up to the payer, match it up to the resident, like do all this stuff. So we were building AI to basically like deny at scale, which was just depressing because, on the other end of those denials are like real people that are now not getting healthcare. And so I quit and started this company to kind of do the opposite, basically. But I hadn't really told that story, I guess, until Kim mentioned it when I was telling it in another meeting. So it's always a good one.
I love
What else
that
you got?
story, and I vote that you always share that story in demos.
Yeah, I probably should. That's a good one, I suppose. There's some, I think I'm almost at a year because there's some like non-compete and non-disclosure agreements I have. So I tend to not, once I hit the year mark in like 2 weeks, it'll be open season for the most part for that one. But yeah,
Perfect.
definitely.
All right, we're counting down. Well, we lost David. He's actually driving back from one of the Pursue Health facilities, so he's on Ortega. We're hoping not to lose him, but he him and Max were hoping to get an email template that you're sending out so that we could send out as well.
Yeah, so I have the doc I shared with you, Kim, that has a number of different email samples for outreach, and I can share, like what I'm using, like, and I can send you guys what I'm using in some of my campaigns too. So, like when I'm sending out I have sequenced emails that will run, and I do different versions of 2 different emails to see which ones get a higher percentage open rate, basically. So I can send you guys these emails as well that we're sending out. I'm still testing. I'm doing a number of these different tests to see what people respond to and what titles respond differently to different types of emails. So as I get more data, I'll send this to you. But I'll send you guys these templates. And then Kim, I think I shared with you, you have access to that doc now, right? The Curie sales doc, this one. Can you guys see my screen?
I saw that, yeah.
Yeah.
That other thing was cool. Are those AI bots you're building?
Yeah, this is just this is a outbound automation platform for email marketing, basically. Yeah. So this has like, we A/B test the first email, and then there's logic gates. So if they open the email, we wait. If they don't open the email, we wait longer to follow up. If they open it, we follow up faster. If they don't, we don't, and then we wait. And if they click on a link, we do things. If they don't click, like, we kind of, there's all this, if and I'm still testing this. This is kind of the first run of this, but I'll send you these templates. And then in this document, there's also these example emails that there's several for like different types of people. So if you're talking to like finance, here's kind of the subject lines you might use. If you're talking to clinical reimbursement, here's the subject lines you might use. COO, subject lines. And you can take, obviously these are like the top titles, so you take it all the way down into their organizations, and you can kind of target them this way. And so you should have access to this document, right? I believe.
I have access. I requested to be able to edit it.
Yeah, I think I gave it to you. It scared me when I saw some random real estate person requesting access to my docs. I was like, what the hell?
This is not spam.
Yeah, you have it now, and you can copy this internally, so you guys, because I know you guys don't use Google, you can copy this and adjust it. But there should be a number of good options in here for different things. I have objection handling ideas, and if you're using AI to prompt, like just some some prompt guidelines. I have an agent I built for Challenger sales, and I can share you guys the agent. I don't know if you guys are using a lot of AI over there, but I can send you the agent and
That's
the agent configuration.
fantastic.
Yeah, so let me see. Pull this up. So let's see. Customer.
So you are seeing a lot of success with these ones?
With which ones?
With the AI, like assistant deals?
No, not yet. I wouldn't say a lot of success. We have we have industry standard click rates. So it's like normal levels of success. But we're getting responses for sure. I've had several people respond and set up demos. I've only done a couple hundred outbound, so it's not quite statistically significant yet. But yeah, it's not too bad. I'm trying to find, where did I put the agent stuff? What's that, Max?
I said that's crazy. My dad was telling me about all the AI like little assistants.
Yeah, and if you guys use like if you guys use any of that stuff, you can take something like, here we go. I don't know how to show it in the other thing I can show you over here. So yeah, we have an agent. So each customer has their own agent, and there should be sales agents. Yeah, so I can send you guys this, but so this is like if you're using like ChatGPT or something, you could give it this context for how it operates, and it gives it like challenger sales, like you're a challenger sales expert embedded in a curious, customer, blah blah blah. We'd want to change some of these things. You're an expert in the challenger sales framework, Dixon and Abson. You operate as a challenger, not a relationship, blah 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 blah. It talks about the 3 T's, 6. So basically, you give it this context whenever you're communicating with customers. Like if you use AI to generate an email response, you use this to give context to the AI to generate the email, so it gives you a better result than if you just prompted it normally. So I can send you guys this agent file as well. I'll just put it in that. I'll just put it in that doc, Kim.
And why don't you share that doc with me as well, please?
Sure.
Yeah.
And then, so
I can download the docx and send it to you guys.
So I use Gemini and I put it in instructions. I think David uses Gemini also.
Yeah, and that should be fine. Yeah, exactly. In instructions or whatever. You mean in the system prompt setting? Yeah. In Gemini,
Yeah.
I think you would. I don't really know Gemini that well, but all of them have it where you can kind of define the context. Update this to be. All right, I added it to another. I added a challenger agent tab to that docx, Kim.
Okay.
So yeah, so you should see on this tab now.
Okay.
There's the challenger agent, and I gave you guys need to modify this because some of this isn't relevant. Like this isn't relevant. This isn't relevant. We'll say this isn't relevant. Your job is to help. Yeah, the rest of this should be good. I don't think there shouldn't be any customer specific. I can't remember. But so you can see like this agent file has like a lot of, some of the other things about our specific software in it as well. So like some of the data, like CMS statistics. So whenever you're crafting messages, emails, conversations, it can help with some of these things. This isn't relevant. So and then I inject context about the specific customers. This won't be relevant for you guys. This is good. Current situation. It's pending. Okay, this should be good, in a good enough state. Yeah, so you guys could use this kind of general, like you guys can figure this out. You can use this generally to improve, because I'm sure you're all using AI for emails and stuff. This can help improve your structure, your emails and your responses and stuff.
So you just plug that into like one of the AIs and pretty much just coach it to do that?
So in Gemini, you would, I don't use Gemini all that often. I think you would put it in
It's
personal intelligence, maybe.
Yep. And then right there, instructions on the bottom.
Yeah. So you would give it, so this is my instruction for Gemini, which is like, don't be annoying, essentially. You might do this, but actually in Gemini, what you may want to do is, did Gemini have projects yet? I don't know what all Gemini supports. Yeah, so you'd probably create a notebook and you'd say like query sales. And then you would, in this notebook, add a source and say copied text. And then, yeah, this is probably what you'd do is, so this is what I'd suggest. Yeah, is you create a notebook and then your Curie sales stuff goes in the text. And then whenever you interact with this notebook, it'll have that consistent context, because this is going to be better than if you do system-wide instructions. System instructions will override every single conversation, which you probably don't want. So you want to scope it down to like so that you can see here the notebooks. You'd create a project here and scope it down. Yeah, this is what I would do. Let's see, copy text. Great. Let's see if it knows what to do. Yeah, there you go. So now it knows. Use Challenger sales. See, I didn't mention that at all. Oh, I did mention Challenger. Gosh dang it, I failed. Anyways, you can see that it talks through, let's see, yeah, it talks about the 1% error rate, 420 claim. Yeah, so it knows everything that I just gave it into that text file. So you guys can use this and put it in a notebook context and then use that notebook for specifically for a Curie sales stuff. And then it'll be scoped down to that notebook.
Damn. Okay.
And you guys can email me anytime if you have questions on how to get that set up.
Perfect.
That's
Well-
crazy.
Yeah, it's cool, man. There's some cool stuff. It's pretty crazy how much things, even in the last like 4 months, it feels like December was a pretty big turning point in the harness stuff. Like the models have always been pretty good, but the harnesses around the models just like took off in capability in December. And there's just so much you can do now with these tools. It's crazy. Yeah. Anything else, guys? Anything else I can answer or help?
Have you been getting some pretty positive feedback from the current clients that you're launching it at?
Yeah. So, you know, we launched with Aspen. We've done several full audits with them, and they're stoked. I mean, they're just so happy to know. I think the last one we did was like 40. Like, so the last Pursue one that I led for Fullerton, the previous ones I've done for the last 6 months took like 2 days, 2 full days, basically. The last one we did was 40 minutes, and I was still doing a lot of exposition. So like explaining things that weren't really necessary, but I just wanted to explain. So like future ones will be like minutes, you know, like as we get further down the path. Aspen is super stoked. We're launching with Sweetwater. We launched with 4 additional organizations May 1st. So Spyglass, we launched May 1st. Sweetwater Care, we launched May 1st. Commonwealth, we launched May 1st. And Aspen, we launched May 1st across more of their facilities. And then we have Complete Care Management. They're a 100 facility group, and I'm meeting with them on Monday because they've been POCing it for the last month. They're pretty stoked on it, so we'll have a pricing conversation next week and see how that goes. But so far, feedback has been overwhelmingly positive. If anything, people are just like, "Can you do more?" You know, they just want more like automation. It's actually one of the bigger challenges has been reining people in and reminding them that like we're automating triple check, which is the very specific thing that they do each month. Because I think when they kind of see what we can do from a capabilities perspective, they just want us to do everything, like every process they have throughout the month where they're looking at things or checking things or reviewing things, which they do a ton of PPS meetings, like the nurses. They want us to just do all of it. And I have to continually sort of steer them back to like, we can do that later, like let's get to it maybe someday. But today, you know, our focus is triple check. It's these things, end of month billing, you know, kind of keeping their expectations managed. Because I think when they see what's possible, they get very excited about the amount of work we can reduce for them.
That's really cool.
Does it sound like Pursue Health, you've gone and sat in on a lot of the triple check and trained and walked them through it, but the ones that are outside driving distance, are you just doing that remotely, or will you go visit those sites?
No, just remote, and it'll be. I mean, you know, like I'm gonna be bouncing between like 30 facilities May 1st that are all going to be doing their triple check the first week, and I'm gonna be available for Zoom. So I'll kind of be jumping around as needed to support people. But I built out like a lot of documentation. So we added a new section to the website that I'm continuing to work on over this next week. But we added this section of just for documentation on like how everything works, like all the features that exist. And honestly, the bigger piece of friction so far isn't our software. The software is so easy to use. Like there's not a lot of logic in, like everything complex is done on our side, server side. Like we do all the complex stuff. So the customer facing stuff, it's just like if it's passing, you skip it. If it's failing, you go look and see why it's failing. It's really simple. The complex piece so far has been getting people to change their process. Like the billers, for example, at Aspen, this one biller, she just loves having a piece of paper in her hand. Like every month she has like stacks of papers and she's like dependent on this paper. So getting her to trust the software, took 2 months. And in the last audit, she was like, okay, she was stoked. She's like, okay, I see. She's like looking at everything, double checking that we're doing it right. She's like very skeptical. And you kind of gradually win that trust, over time, which we've done. But the biggest hurdle is less of like getting them to understand the software and training them on the software, and more of just like, this is how your process changes. Like the way you do triple check is completely gone. And this is the way you do it today. Like you don't have paper, you don't, do this, you don't spell, like you just, the process that they do internally changes. And that's been the struggle. And I'm actually building a module for Aspen today that is like less about a Curie and more about Aspen. Like here's Aspen, here's your new triple check process, and here's how you do it. And I plan to reuse that for everyone once we kind of get it in place. But that's been the bigger hurdle for sure.
We just left the facility, one of the Pursue facilities ourselves, and that was one of the key points of feedback that we received from their team was a lot of times we get some really great tools, but it's more the adoption of those tools in their facility and changing their processes. So we can definitely confirm that at the facility level is definitely a struggle that they face. And I think me personally, I've faced that a little bit with our tools as well. It's just getting them to change their ways and start adopting the new processes. So that's going to be something that we're going to have to be really watchful of, even with our products. We got to handhold a little bit more than we thought originally. And I think just to go back to your point, Chris, as you're bumping into these success stories as you're onboarding new facilities and organizations, I think just sharing those experiences as much as you can, if it's just a quick brief, because I know with the two that we had demo with Tender Loving Care and Sunmar in particular, I think their feedback was they wanted to see a little bit of adoption and get some case studies based off of onboarding some facilities. So anytime you can share those, I can cycle back with those and just kind of keep them on the hook and keep them interested. And then, as like you said, just sharing those success stories, I think we can get them back on. So
my plan is post May 1st, I'll be writing several case studies with Pursue and with Aspen and putting them on the website and then giving them to you guys to use as well.
Okay.
And one thing I'll say is, in terms of adoption, this is one of the reasons I built this for the org admins. It's sort of this top level view. So, if you're a Belen, you guys know Belen. Do you know Brenda and Belen, Pursue? Like if you're in their role, which is really all facilities, they want this view so that they can kind of see what's going on. So now, when you have facilities that aren't doing what they're supposed to do, it'll be very apparent. And so right now, obviously Aspen only has one facility that's done anything because they're the only relevant facility so far. And so we can kind of see like Aspen, they had 63 claims for March, 52 of them are passing. We get these statistics, they can kind of see why the ones that are failing and go and review them. But more importantly, as they scale, and now for Aspen, these are the first facilities we're launching, and with Aspen, Gina and the team over there, they'll be able to see if someone's not participating. And I'm building a button for them actually this week, where for each of these facilities, there'll be a button like right here that says email the facility. And it'll send an email to everyone in the facility that's like, do your fucking job, basically. Won't say that, but it'll be like, hey, it looks like your participation is low for triple check this month, and we see a 0% passing rate for your claims. Make sure you're logging into a Curie and doing what you're supposed to do. And that way the administrators that kind of run the process for an organization can have the view and the ease of communication and reminders for, folks to go in and do what they're supposed to do.
And Chris, do you have a demo video of just the application yet?
So I've recorded some videos, but they're tailored. Kim asked me to record a generic one, and I haven't had time to sit down and do one yet. But I'll do one sometime soon. I plan on incorporating it into our documentation as well. But are you guys wanting those videos to send to customers proactively, or what would you use those? Like, what would be the context or the audience for that kind of thing?
For like sometimes when I'm reaching out to people, I will like just include like a short 30-second overview, let's just say of like scan two, let's just say, and I'll just include it. Or like if I have a demo set up, just send them a quick little video and just kind of get them familiar and get what they're going to get presented in front of them, just so they have like a brief idea. Sometimes helps us.
Right. Yeah, I can do some high level stuff for sure. Yeah, I can do that. Cool.
In terms of your audits that you're going to be doing starting May, what exactly are you going to be pulling? What exactly are you going to be looking at in terms of like, I don't know, completion percentages, like comparison to, let's just say, a facility doesn't have a proper billing and they have to, send an overpayment bill in 60 days. Will you be pulling all of that documentation, or how are you going to track that?
You mean like if they get, so can you maybe be more specific on the scenario that you're referring to where there's an audit? You're referring to like if they get audited by CMS, what our process is, or what do you mean?
Yeah, kind of like that. I'm just saying, like, let's just say, I mean, when we sell, it's like, okay, this is a facility that, per se, before they had triple check, they had this amount of overpayment. So if you take like a Pursue building, I mean, we don't have much. We're pretty accurate when it comes to like, you know, paying if we mess up on a claim or whatever that may be. But will we have kind of like the side by side view of a facility that doesn't use triple check automation versus one that still does it by hand? Could you pull something like that?
Yeah,
Because I think that would be pretty important to see for someone who is their mind and strategy is stuck on still, being paper triple check meetings.
it'll be hard for us to pull it because we don't have access to the clearinghouse. And a lot of the times, like the actual billing doesn't happen through any system I can view. So I don't know what their claim rejection rate is or any of that information. They would need to tell me. But what a lot of what I try to focus on, because I can't get that and present it as a metric, I try to focus more on like the time savings and the consistency and sort of those conversations. I think that when, especially like like more like larger organizations, like your PACs, like your Complete Care, like anyone with more than 20 facilities, I think they immediately understand that the chance of an error occurring with software is significantly lower than with humans. So you don't really need to convince them of that, and for the most part. And so what it becomes more is like, is this good enough, and does this cover what we need, and is it fast enough? And so that's why I try and focus more of the conversation on like the time savings and that kind of stuff, because I can't view their claim, their clawback rates. I can't access those systems.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, I think it's great. I mean, I actually listened into the demo you did with PAX, when you were on with my dad and the compliance officer. So, I mean,
With Kelly.
yeah. I mean, it's if you can get her, she's kind of tough as nails. She's kind of like a page, compliance girl that we use for our consultants. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty solid.
Oh, thanks, Abby. Yeah, she was great, and they approved us to move forward. Now I'm just blocked by their IT team because I don't have SOC 2 Type 2, so I'm getting that done May 15th. But I think we're making good progress with PAX. They're just a slower nut to crack for sure.
Did you already submit? You get your audit fully done, your SOC 2 in May?
So I'm already Type 1, so we did our Type 1 already, and then our Type 2, the observation window ends May 15th, and so the audit period, they'll be doing the full audit between now and May 15th, basically, with all the samples stuff. we use a similar software to you guys. I use Drata, which
Okay.
is the automation platform, and then Prescient is our auditors. So it's all teed up. I imagine we'll have the cert in hand by like June 15th. It usually takes them 30 days to, finalize everything once they go through that final process. So probably June 15th, we'll have the cert and be ready to go.
Cool. Awesome.
It's exciting. Alrighty.
Cool, guys.
Sell it, huh?
Definitely. And any questions you guys have, don't hesitate to ping me. You'd have to ask Jose, I guess, but if you all want, I could probably add you to like one of the Pursue, buildings so you can see, just see the software, like click around. It can be helpful sometimes to visualize things. There's some stuff there because of PHI. I don't know what's allowed and what's not. So we'd have to get Jose's sign off, but if he's good with it, I can add you guys into the platform.
Do you have like a test site or no? Like
So I do. I have a test site, but it's not hosted. It's not accessible publicly.
Gotcha.
Sort of on purpose. But I'm thinking about getting it visible for this reason, so people can kind of log into a non-sensitive data environment and play with it, so they don't need an actual setup. But right now, it's not public. It's just something I use for demos.
Okay.
Yeah, if I could, what we could do, I could talk to Jose about it. I can get you guys all, if we just pull like, what would you think, like a Sunny Hills or a Fullerton or some Pursue facility, and I can just send over some BAAs for each of you to sign individually with Fullerton, and then you could easily get access. So I can make that happen pretty quick if you guys want.
Cool.
That'd be great. Yeah, we'd love
All right.
that.
Yeah, I'll set that up.
All right, guys.
All right.
Yeah, just let me know, Abby, what you need from me.
Awesome. Sounds good.
Thanks, Chris. I
Alright.
appreciate it.
Thank you,
Of course,
Chris.
guys. Have a good rest of your day.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Chris.